First question on the docket
Yeah.
is what's the biggest challenge for you in your current role, lead pastor, right
Yeah.
now?
Um, this is indicative of church planting in general, but even more heightened in obviously the past year that we've had, which would be having to like continually pivot, change, and make decisions, and probably not knowing, uh, if that's the right decision, not having the data to back it up. One as a, so my obviously everything comes in context of us being a new church plant. And so the thing about a new church plant is your church changes every 6 months, right? You don't have the historical data, you don't have the historical people. You're in an unchurched culture where 92 to 96% of people don't know Jesus. And so it's an ever evolving, kind of rapidly changing, world that we live in. Anyways, now you throw in, 2020 and COVID and everything else, and it's even more rapidly changing, evolving, and all that kind of stuff.
uh, I would say, in fact, I wrote it this morning in my journal, but it's decision fatigue. Uh, a lot of the things that we used to do, we know are no longer doing. But now, as we put things back together, the real decision is to make: what do you go back to? What is it that was necessary? When you remove everything, the mistake will be to return to like what you were, because it's not going back to that.
Church is so relational. Like almost all of what we knew pre-COVID about church was that you went to the building, you drank coffee and stood in the auditorium and talked to people. You met people for coffee. Like it was so relational. You went to church because you wanted to have community. And so now not rubbing shoulders with people in that way, like we've opened up probably about like 30% capacity. And so we're nowhere near where we used to be, but not having that like hovering over the coffee, not having that sitting next to each other in worship, seeing people, being community. It's what we've found hard is how do you still establish those touch points then? Like, how do you establish those touch points when you aren't seeing people? Because then it's all effort. Like it's all intentionally saying, hey, Steele, can you get on a Zoom call on Monday at 1 p.m.? And when everybody in your life is doing that to you, your work, your kids' school, your friends, your parents, it just becomes so overwhelming that you just shut down. So I think our leadership has been trying to figure out how do we keep people engaged and committed to being a part of church in one of the most stressful times of their life so that we can be there as a support system, but also so that when life goes back to normal, like our church is still there, our people are still there, and we haven't, lost ground as a community because of a pandemic.
If you had to choose one over the other right now, which is more important? Is it about reaching new people right now, or is it about keeping the existing people? And would you rephrase either one of those questions? I mean, either one of those two topics.
I would say the immediate focus right now is regathering the church, um, and identifying who are the people that are left that are with us, so to speak. Uh, we've been in the process of doing that along the way, as we have kept tabs on involvement and calling. And as we regather, I think what our goal is right now is to refortify the army.
Is it reaching the new people in the community around you, or is it growing and discipling the people that you feel are already connected to you?
Yeah, reaching lost people is our number one factor. That's everything we do. Everything we do is from the standpoint of reaching unchurched people. Now, obviously, that comes through discipling people to reach their neighbor. So there's obviously a component of reaching new people is discipling, your already evangelized people. But everything we do is that. And I say it from the very beginning, like I didn't move my family halfway across the country in a city where I don't know anybody in a culture that doesn't want me there to reach already evangelized people. And so everything we do is to reach unchurched people.
How are you guys trying to reach the community? Are you inviting them? Like, are you telling them, hey, join us on Zoom, join us online? How are you trying to reach your community right now?
So if a person only lives in our community 3 years still, and I have some fancy marketing and door hangers and Facebook ads, which I do, by the way, I'm very big on those things. But if that's all I have to try to attract them into my church, that's air game. That's air support, right? So we're in a war and that's air support, but you also need ground support. And the ground support sometimes is what gets the leader killed, that you're trying to go after. And so for us, we were doing all the air support, still needed to do it, but we also needed to get some ground support better and solidified. And so we created community champions, because you know why? If we're trying to reach the person moving into our community, we don't know, exactly how they're going to get our message, when they're going to get it, when they move in, if they get the mailer or the Facebook or whatever else. But my neighbor does, because my neighbor sees the U-Haul truck and is taking cookies to them or doing a dinner or whatever else it is. So what if my decentralized focus really went back to equipping our people to actually talk to their neighbors and to invite them along a journey with Jesus in whatever capacity that may be?
We launch these things, what we call core, and basically they're classes for people in our church to attend. And so we've done some on theology, we've done them on biblical finances, we've done them on Bible study methods, and just seeing the number of people that engage with those and attend those, we've maxed out the classes each time we've done them. This is our third round that we're headed into right now. And I think it's been encouraging for leadership to be like, this has been something we've wanted to do for a while and now finally found some margin because of COVID. And I think people are kind of surprised how much people are interested in it. So it's kind of helped us find this whole new thing that people are desiring that we weren't even really prioritizing.
So it's almost like a needs-based type of things.
Yes.
It's like very specific life stage type stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We have a list of 5 things that we focus on. Number 1 is community champions. Number 2 is actually our For Denver project, which is serving our city. It's like Bellevue loves Memphis. So serving the city, meeting the restorative needs of the city. Number 3 is our groups, connect groups for connecting, core groups for learning about the scriptures and diving deeper into that. Number 5 is what we call the hub, which is actually the place that we now rent. It's very small, but we want it to be a hub of ministry, not just a building or a place that sits there and only has Sunday morning. And then number 5 is gatherings. So the 5th focus for us, and in order for that, is our gatherings on Sunday morning.
Which is inverted, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was the other
100%.
way
So
around.
that funnel used to be, hey, we get them into the big crowd, and then hopefully we'll capture 50% of them in groups. Hopefully then 25% of those people will serve, and then, man, we can really get it. And maybe they'll go and lead their neighbor to Christ. And so our funnel has actually reversed to where we say, hey, Steele, I want to empower you to really be something special to your neighbors so that you can talk to your neighbors. And then Jesus, 12 people can really be active. 12, then they can go get 72 and then 120. So if I capture Steele, which again, he's a believer, doesn't mean I'm shifting my focus to a believer. It just means that I'm equipping the people that God has given me already, but that's happening still Monday through Saturday, not on Sunday morning. But if I equip Steele, I have the 120. If I have you, I have access to 120 people in your concentric circles of concern. And so for me, it's a shift in thinking about the 1 as opposed to thinking about the 120 and hopefully getting the 1 out of that 120, if that makes sense.
It does. Makes total sense.